Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, you name it, all over the world of crypto and blockchain. And today I have another amazing guest, and this interview is a couple months in the making. But I'm glad we're having this discussion today. I want to introduce a contributor at Marinade. His name is Michael Repetny. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You're very welcome. I have been looking forward to this for a couple of months. Our schedules didn't work out, but now today they are, which is excellent.
Yeah.
So let me ask you first to kick things off. What is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
Got it. Yeah, it might not be that logical, but my background is that, look, maybe 20 years ago, I started building stuff on the internet, really. That's how it all started. So it dates back in my early ages, back in high school, when we started to build websites. Then we would build a website, not only for ourselves, but also for some external clients. And then we had the website, nobody was coming in. So we had to learn how to acquire traffic to the websites, how to generate traffic. So then we learned all the stuff about SEO, marketing, ads, and all those kind of things. And then we would drive traffic to the websites. And then eventually the traffic would show up, but nobody would buy. So this led me again to this conversion rate optimization specialization back in the years, which eventually led, instead of doing this as a marketing agency, which was in the very early days, later to launching my own startup in the Web2 analytics space. So what we did is that we had a software as a service, and we would let the people see how people use their websites, but visually. So unlike the traditional web analytics tools, which would show you the numbers, graphs, averages, and so on, we would show them heat maps, recordings, and those kind of things to show them visually where they're leaking money and how to improve their website. So that's how I started, say, on the internet on the product side. So I went really through this startup journey. We got invited to some interviews around Y Combinator and so on. We spent some time in San Francisco. But this was still our university studies, me and the co-founders. So we made a bunch of mistakes there in this startup world, and eventually got run over the competition. So then I took some time off this startup mode, and then spent a few years in consulting mode, where I would go and consult to some of the e-commerce websites how to drive more sales from their traffic. So I would essentially use the tool that I built for many. I would use it for myself and for the consulting company. And then it was this year of 2020 when I started to use the DeFi on Ethereum. And that was the rabbit hole, really, because I love this concept. So I liked everything about it. It was all new to me and really a rabbit hole. And eventually the gas fees were just so high to me that I started to look at alternatives. Initially, I saw other chains, theoretical ones like Polkadot or Kusama. I participated in a bunch of hackathons, and then eventually found out, kind of by coincidence, really, Solana. So my background, I studied the University of Economics here in Prague, but at the same time, I've been already running a bunch of startups, a bunch of things on the internet. I'm an entrepreneur at heart and doing this stuff for ages now. So the crypto was maybe in the end the logical next chapter for me, because I saw what the internet could do for masses, and I believe that the crypto really solves some of the fundamental principles and just lays out the better future of the internet, of this coordination of masses at large. And I very much value the speed in my life, so that's why I was attracted by Solana, and that was the hooking point back then. So that's how it all started. Yeah.
Awesome. So Marinade, right? I go to Marinade website and look at the team, and everybody's a chef. But what's Marinade all about, and what's your focus and vision there?
For sure. So Solana as this proof of stake blockchain. If I had to explain what's Marinade about, maybe a bit brief on Solana as in general. So Solana as this blockchain, you can think of it as like a database, but the database is run not by one entity, but by 1,500 computers across the world that synchronize in real time between them, agree on transactions, and so on. So it's this global state machine, right? It's global across the world. It's extremely performant, and is a machine because it can process thousands of transactions per second, and it costs less than like a fraction of a cent to send transaction through this state machine. And this global state machine is powered by this concept of staking, which I would explain maybe like a representative democracy. So as Solana is run not by one entity, but by those 1,500 computers across the world, those are like the electorates. So those that would be representing the network really, right? And then you have the sole owners, those might be the citizens of Solana, and they can delegate their SOL tokens to those computers. And then by doing that, they give them voting power to represent them in the network consensus. So this staking concept is really similar to this representative democracy. And now where Marinate comes in is that naturally people would usually choose to stake with some well-known branded companies and putting more and more stake, meaning more and more voting power on those established companies, which makes the chain more centralized and just less secure, less censorship resistant and stable. So that's how Marinate really started. Back in 2021, Solana was not where it is today. We were looking at 600 validators at most, with 11 of those, the biggest, that would collectively have enough power to possibly hold the network if they were to collude. So that's how we started Marinate. I love this speed and efficiency of Solana. I love this magical moment that hooked me in for the first time. I wanted to contribute to the ecosystem. And it felt to me that doing something with staking and doing it safe, secure, and Marinate, what it is in general, is that it stays in between the validators, so those are the computers, and then the delegators, those would be the people having the SOL, and they look who to stake with. By doing it right, the staking system basically Marinate is like a marketplace. You can think of it really like a marketplace between the delegators and the validators, so that it connects you, a delegator also owner, with the best validators on the market and gives you the best yield, and at the same time makes the network more secure.
Very cool. So remember when Solana first came out, the big proponent of Solana was Sam Bankman-Fried. And, that Solana is very different than the Solana today. How has Solana detached from being known as Sam's coin? And, how have you effectively managed all the faulty narratives that have been out there against Solana over the past few years?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that we felt it the most probably by the FTX collapse, right, back in 2022. That was really the tipping point. I would say the short answer, we built through it. I mean, there are some faulty narratives that have been thrown at Solana for ages and ages. The community, I would say, would only get stronger even after the event of FTX. It would just stick together. And as you can see today, I think that the Solana ecosystem as a whole came out way stronger than ever before out of this event, because now you're looking at number 5 market cap crypto project of all things in the crypto space. You're looking at flipping Ethereum on 30-day DEX volume. You're looking at the most volume on the NFT side. So there are just a bunch of things where I think that the ecosystem proved to the outside that the Solana tech is here to stay and is here to be the thing that the next chapter on the internet can really build on. So I would say that it was an unfortunate event. Yes, it was. And it was painful in the short term. Definitely it was. Some people lost faith in Solana, that's for sure. But in the long run, I believe that the event was almost a blessing because it made the network even more resilient. once again the community stick together even more. And for example, this reference of calling the chain to be this one-man show, Marinate Finance, actually back in 2021, has been launched completely bootstrapped without any VC money. So we would reject tens of VCs, tens of investors trying to do it right. Maybe painful, maybe slow, maybe we will not make it, but we rejected any VC money out there just to make sure that this public good infrastructure of staking is built right, is built with the community, is built through the fair launch. So that's how we did it. And Marinade's been running for 3-4 years and it's been the number one project on Solana without any VC money. So I hope that also shows that it is possible.
I just became a big fan. So I like the coins that had the VC money, or I like the projects don't have the VC money. I haven't taken any either, so that's good. So there, in addition, like one of the narratives about Solana is that it's just a trading coin or it's good only for memes, right? How would you debate that or debate against that?
Yeah. I would not say only, but I would say definitely it is good for memes. It is good for trading. As we've seen, I would say even with the internet, right? Even all the breakthroughs, usually they start by people not taking it very seriously, by people almost entertaining. So even now, if you look at the crypto space, maybe there are those two camps, and most of the crypto narrative outside of our bubble, I would say, it's still driven by this addiction or gambling. But I think in the end, it drives the innovation. So we got to start somewhere. And as we move forward, as the infrastructure becomes better, more robust, and we show to the world it's not only about gambling, it's not only about memes, but there is some fundamental that can power, like the stable coins. This is nothing that's talked about, but it's literally helping the people out there not to save their money in cash under their pillow overnight and watch their inflation in their countries. So I think there are fundamentals to crypto. It'll take some time probably for the narrative to flip, because now it is driven by this gambling thing. So I would say Solana, it's great for that. That's why people use it. That's why people launch maybe hundreds of new meme coins every week. But eventually, Solana is also great to power a lot of other things. It's this global state machine that can be used for many things and to finally, I would say, power the whole financial system. And if the meme coins are included, that might be it, but it's not the only thing.
So let's talk about some of those other things. Let's talk about DeFi on Solana. So I want to find out, the difference between native and liquid staking, including the risks of both, and then how your delegation strategy comes into play with both of them.
Yeah, for sure. So like we were talking about this concept of staking, it's really delegating your soul to a specific validator, this computer out there. If they do their job well, meaning if they have uptime, if they are correctly voting on transactions, then they are rewarded by new tokens emitted to the system. They get to get a cut of it. So some commission goes to the validators, to those computers out there, and the rest is shared with the delegators. So the traditional concept of native staking on Solana is built in the very layer of Solana, the protocol as it is. So unlike, for example, other chains on Solana, you have this concept of delegation, where you can choose as little as, say, one sol. You can pick one of those 1,500 validators on the network. You click a button and you delegate. You are done. You are now participating on securing the network, and you are earning the staking rewards. So this is very easy on Solana, and this is the very native thing, how you do the classic staking on Solana since its very beginnings. It has some drawbacks to some people, meaning that there is this 2-day unbonding period, meaning if you stake your sol and you want to take it out, you need to wait up to 2 days to unstake your sol back. And for some people, this liquidity reason could be an issue. And second thing is that when Solana DeFi came about back in 2021, you as a sol holder was facing an ultimate decision. Should I go and use my sol in DeFi? Should I provide liquidity? Should I have it as collateral to borrow against it? or should I stake it and get some staking rates? So you needed to choose. And then Marinate would basically bring these things together by introducing this concept of liquid staking on Solana. So in August 2021, Marinate launched liquid staking on Solana as the first protocol out there with the token called MSOL. So MSOL represents your staked SOL on Solana, meaning that it solves those two things that I was talking about with the classic staking. Since you are given this liquid token, it allows you basically to exit your staking position at any time, and you don't need to wait up to those 2 days to take it back because you can exit instantaneously. And then B, this MSOL is broadly accepted in the wide Solana DeFi ecosystem almost everywhere now, in more than 50 use cases in the Solana DeFi ecosystem, including exchanges. So it's as easy as on-ramping on Coinbase to go to MSOL right away. And you're getting Solana plus those staking rewards annually within the token. So that's how liquid staking started. And I think that this shows the difference between the two concepts, because for liquid staking, literally the users, what they do is that they would transfer the SOL, they would deposit it to a smart contract. So like I was talking about this base layer of Solana staking, there is a smart contract above. And then with liquid staking, you put your SOL there, you get this receipt token back, MSOL, which then represents your staked SOL. And this MSOL grows in value. You can use it in DeFi. It's your liquid token that you can use around. And it grows 8-9% against SOL just by holding it. So that's how liquid staking started. And we got from 0 to 6 million SOL TVL super quick back then. But then we saw a flat line for a few years. And we realized, hey, this liquid staking, maybe that's not how most of the market wants to use this SOL. Because ultimately with liquid staking, it's great because you have this instant liquidity. You can use it in DeFi, but at the same time, some people are aware of those additional smart contract risk. So for the institutional market, that was a no-go. And that's why even now, 94% of staked Solana market is not in liquid staking. It's still in the native staking Solana, avoiding the smart contract risk. So those would be the main differences. And now I'd like to finish it off with the delegation strategy. To come back to your question, is that this is where Marinate shines, because Marinate does not run a validator. Marinate is only a proxy to select the best performing validators on the network. So you can think of it almost like an Expedia for Solana staking, really, that it helps the SOL owners find the best validators automatically. So if you stake traditionally and you stake your SOL on a validator, that validator can go offline, they can change commission, things can go wrong, and you are not getting any staking rewards. Marinate has this automated delegation strategy, which looks over all 1,500 Solana validators programmatically. And every 2 days, Marinate would rank them. Who's the best? Who charges the lowest commission? Who's the most uptime of the whole time? Who's the most performant? And basically brings the best performance to the user. And then that's how the Marinate strategy works, by splitting the stake into multiple validators, 100 plus now, to make sure it's well diversified. It does something great for the network, but also brings the great staking rewards to the user.
So you're basically ranking based on blockchain ethics and integrity.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. Well, so there have been, over the past year and a half or 2 years, arguments on Twitter X, between Ethereum maxis and Solana, investors. So there have been, like, the big overriding theme is that who can achieve complete decentralization first. There's an argument out there that no layer one can, right? What's missing and what needs to be addressed if no layer one can achieve complete decentralization? How do we get them there?
Yeah, great question. I think first it would be great for us to understand that decentralization is one part of the whole picture. it doesn't make sense to go 100% for that, because ultimately we need to find some balance in those things to optimizing them for. When it comes to decentralization, I'm not sure what would be the complete decentralization. I'm a fan of the sufficient decentralization, so to say. Obviously, I'm in crypto space, so I value this sense of decentralization. But to me, it's a scale. It is a scale, and as long as we are progressing towards more decentralization, I think we are on the right path. At the same time, I would say that different blockchains, different L1s might have different use cases. And on those different use cases, you might need different levels of decentralization. And it can be completely fine to have some level on some specific use case where you need more or less of this decentralization aspect. So I'm not sure how to solve it eventually, but I think it's this balance between, say, performance, decentralization, the security, those things around. And as long as we strive for the right balance, we should be fine. So we have been fighting with Marinade on this very performant, very scalable chain, Solana, just for this, to make it more decentralized. And we would do it by skipping the biggest validators from the get-go. So we would exactly avoid the biggest and only delegate Sol to the smaller community-run validators to support them, because nobody's looking really at those validators on the long tail. But they are performant, it's just nobody sees them. So Marinade automatically would pick the best, and usually the best does not mean the biggest validators. So by doing that, we have been for 3 years decentralizing effectively Solana and actually increasing this, they call it like Nakamoto coefficient, right? This number of entities that collectively can hold a network. So throughout Marinade's being around, it grew from Solana, that back then it was 11. Now we're looking at more than 20 or around 20. So it doubled. So I think that we are progressing. It's hard to call it this complete decentralization. I'm not even sure that we should strive for it. It should be decentralized and secure enough to me.
Well, it sounds a lot more decentralized than Bitcoin does at this point in time. So, yeah. But you mentioned there that people think about, when they think of Solana, what the Achilles heel is, and you said security, right? Some will argue that security or lack thereof is Solana's Achilles heel, right? What's the counter argument to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fair to distinguish between security and liveness. Security in the sense that, okay, am I going to lose my funds? I think this is almost out of question. So what Solana, look, let's look at it this way. Throughout the past, there were times where the liveness was an issue. The network would halt because it was just intense load on the network. And they look at this almost testing in production. So it just moves fast and the load is insane. So if you build something as huge and attracting demand, something like that, you are going to face challenges as you go, obviously. So Solana went through that, but at no point myself, I would feel that I cannot say it will be an insecure chain. So at times there could be outages, but it's a very different thing from calling it secure or insecure chain. So when it comes to this liveness things, I think it's fair to say that that's one of the aspects of why we should strive for a decentralized system, to make it more stable, more secure, more censorship resistant. And even now, to be completely fair, Solana can do way better on that front. And I think that's probably one of the biggest ecosystem project is now to rewrite and launch completely new validator client, to not be reliant only on one validator client, but to have at least two, ultimately ideally four different implementations of the validator client. Because if that seems to be not now if we're talking about the IO, about the possible issue, that might be it. And we are going to see quite some improvement, I would say, an advancement on that front just next month when we all meet for this Breakpoint annual Solana conference, where we should see some announcement when it comes to FireDancer, which is this new Solana validator client. and that should be big. So I'm positive about that. We are not saying that everything is it's great and perfect, but when it comes to this, running it stable, running it, if we call it secure, more like censorship resistant or bugless, then this new client will help a lot, definitely.
Something you don't hear about as much often as we used to was Solana's downtime. So it looks like it's been running pretty
Yeah.
consistent for a little while, you know?
Yeah.
So that's good too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It is.
great. So financial freedom, right? People get into blockchain because they want financial freedom. Now, uh, is financial freedom, and how so is it still available or achievable for the masses? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great philosophical question, really, indeed. I mean, I believe so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be building this. So ultimately, I believe that the crypto as a whole helps us, the humanity, to transact better, to finance stuff better, to connect really with the humans over the planet without the need of a trust. I think that's an interesting concept, really, now I'm thinking about it. It's just like the venture capital would split the need for an idea on one side and the capital, because previously you needed to have both to do some breakthrough, and then venture capital would then split it into two, and then you have two different markets, and that's what really drove this huge wave of innovations and new projects around. I think that a similar thing is really now happening with crypto, where it helps the people to interact and coordinate on this huge level without boundaries, by eliminating the trust in between them. Since up until now, we've always needed an entity or some intermediary to challenge or to facilitate this trust element in between us as people. And I think that the crypto, this ethos of the blockchains, what they provide, they might ultimately broaden the scope of what the people can do and how they coordinate between them, by providing them with this tooling of this trustless environment, just like the contracts. We are talking about the smart contracts, so there are just many things that I'm quite hopeful we can learn from the past. We can also see, on the era of the internet, how it started. That's one thing. Then how it evolved, where we are right now, and hopefully with crypto, where we might be heading. So I would say I'm very hopeful. Obviously, the crypto as it is right now, I would probably call it the industry of 90s in the internet, where we don't even have Netscape. Just the infrastructure is being built, right? People are fighting themselves now what to do. So it will obviously take some time, but eventually, I think this is a breakthrough as big as really the internet. So general, I'm bullish. I think it can power the next era of humanity, of financial markets, of the internet, and how we coordinate at a global scale.
Got it. So I see when you talk about the middleman trying to test it, I just picture this little chihuahua. Well, it's not chihuahua, it's Gary Gensler, the SEC chief who's going around suing everybody. Sued and OpenSea yesterday, so, like calling everything a security. He called everything a security except for any of the meme coins on Solana. So I see you guys have a clear path. That's just my like. Why are we? Um, how is the meme coins a clear path for you to maybe be a facilitator for that financial freedom?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be interesting. I mean, the meme coins and the whole cultural movement. The memes, at the end of the day, they drive everything around us, I would say. So it's definitely interesting to watch. Like me myself, I watch it. I don't engage that much with the meme coin projects and so on, because we are quite too busy to build the infrastructure for Solana to run the meme coins on. But definitely it is an interesting concept and something we are watching closely.
Very cool. So, I enjoyed learning more about Solana today. I enjoyed learning what you guys do. And I think you have a bright future here. So, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me. I have one last question, really. It's probably the easiest one. How can people find out more information about you, about Marinade, about what you guys do? How can they participate in the Solana ecosystem? Do some staking? How can they do anything?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best channels probably to look at would be to start at marinade.finance. That's the website. And it's as easy as 3 clicks where you can start contributing to the Solana ecosystem and to the security by staking your Sol. It's pretty easy once you try it. So there's the app at marinade.finance. Then we are on Twitter, Marinade Finance. We're also on Discord, pretty active there, and publish periodically through Medium. And for those that come in person to Breakpoint, which is this annual Solana conference, for the first time this year, Marinade is hosting a staking full-day conference called StakePoint, which runs just before Breakpoint. So happy to see you there, either at StakePoint or Breakpoint, where we can talk more, or we are at Twitter, Discord, or our website. So give it a go. It can be also as easy for those that have Sol on their exchanges, just on Coinbase to swap from Sol to MSol, and you are right away good to go. And you are behind the scenes already using Marinade, so you don't even need to go to the website to start using the Marinade's liquid staking product. If you want to use the native staking product, then the website is a way to go. So thanks a lot for having me. It was great.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Have a good one.